Hello and welcome everyone to another impactful episode number 44. Yes, I am at episode 44 and I have a lovely guest today, Shringi Dubey. Hi Shringi, how are you?
Uh, Good morning, Mr. Khanna, and I am absolutely fine. And I would say thank you so much for inviting me in this special live session, Story That Impact. So it's wonderful, my pleasure to be here, part of this live session.
Thank you, thank you. And the pleasure is always mine. I always tell this to all my guests. Thank you very much. Well, my guest today is a special educator. He's a parenting expert and a counselor. He learned that his son had autism. And when he found that, it was definitely a big concern in a way. But he also realized that, it's not the end of the life. He also realized that the first step is acceptance, not for his son, but for him and his family. And the moment they did that, they got into a whole new zone and understanding what autism is and how they can help. It's not a disease, it's not a problem. It's just one of the things that God has given us in a certain manner. And the moment acceptance come into picture, you have many more doors opened up. And what Shrinji did was he actually founded the Asha Educational Society. Being a founder and the director right now, he actually helps many more children and helps them across and also their parents to get into the acceptance mode. Autism and problems, or I would say autism and similar other things, are a big problem in the society. It's not the problem with the child, it's not the problem with the person. There are many famous people who are autistic and done miracles in this world, but it's the thought process that we need to change. And that's why I got Shrinji here to share his story, to share how exactly he dealt with it and what exactly is his future plans to take care of this thing. With that, Shrinji, once again, welcome to the show. And before, let me start off asking you that how do what happened? How did you come to know about autism in your son? I mean, what happened?
Yeah, thank you so much, Amit. And yes, as you already mentioned, autism is not a disease and it's not a problem. And let me share my story. And it's not my story, it's in fact the story of all the parents who are blessed with a child who is having autism. And when I say blessed, it's very carefully I'm using this word blessed. What happens in Indian society? Couple get married and after a few years they plan a baby. Especially no one wants to go hospital. I'm not talking about this pandemic situation, even before that also no one wants to go hospital except one situation when mother is going to deliver a baby. So that is a pleasant moment, right? A father and family members, they just wait outside the operation theater. A lot of curiosity, a lot of excitement would be there. Number one, whether it will be boy or girl, and now these days whether it will be normal or whether it will be cesarean, the next question. So if let's say it is cesarean, all the family members they are waiting outside the operation theater. And after few minutes or let's say an hour, doctor comes outside and inform that congratulations, it's baby boy or baby girl. So there the journey of parenting starts. And now for mother and father, and when I say parent, it includes mother and father, they start their journey with their child and they become very happy to be a parent of a child. And what happens after, let's say, 2 to 3 years, they realize something is wrong with their child. And what's the wrong? Their child is not communicating, not interacting, or not responding. And so they become very tensed. What should they do? They approach doctors, they approach pediatrician and all the other doctors. And it's not only about communicating or interacting. Most of the child, they used to do unusual behavior, like play with the unusual toys, make the sequencing, follow the pattern, and all this. And one thing is very clear: most of the child, they used to listen music. It means they can hear, right? So there is no question of whether they can hear or not. But the only thing is that they cannot interact. This is the biggest problem. Here the problem, here the concern of autism starts. And it's a long way. Really, parent has to really work hard for that. Lot of therapies required for that, lots of tests required for that. And yes, it's a very long procedure. So number one thing, what parent they have to do, acceptance is the biggest key. Because it's very, I'm saying it, it's very easy to say this, that for a parent to accept that their child is not as usual as the other child. If the child cannot interact, there is something problem, right? To accept that, it needs a lot of courage, right? After acceptance, yes, there should be awareness about that whole procedure. What are therapies required? What are tests required? And as I said, it's a very long procedure. A parent has to go through all the procedure.
Sorry, I was on mute. Wow. So I completely understand. I mean, and you very beautifully explained about, the how people are very happy when they have to go to the hospital to have a newborn versus any other time they have to go to the hospital. So tell me, when did you guys, and if you don't mind sharing this, tell me, when did you guys found out about your child? And just asking me, is it a boy or a girl?
Yeah, sure. He's a boy, and it takes actually 2.5 years to 3 years, because most of the parents, they used to wait for at least 3 years, because sometimes it's not autism or any neurological disorder. Basically, autism, cerebral palsy, or Down syndrome, these are not disease. These are, you can say, kind of disorders, neurological disorders. So normally it takes 2 to 3 years, right? Then parent become very tense, that why their child is not speaking. They used to take appointment with the therapist and a developmental pediatrician. They all come into picture, and then they realize, yes, there is something problem in that, right? And one thing actually parents should not do. Most of the parents these days, they used to do lots of Google search. That is actually really not very good, and I will not suggest anyone to go for Google search, because these days everyone has the right. Everyone can write blogs, everyone can write anything on internet, you know this, right? So sometime, if experience or specialist or expert, they are writing, then it's good. But sometimes if everyone is writing and sharing, which is not worth sharing, right? And maybe one thing I would like to share, that one strategy, one method, one medicine will not be applicable on all the children, right? You also know, all the children, they are different, they are unique, right? So it's not required that one therapy, one strategy, and one procedure, it will be applicable on all the children, right? So it's better, if you come to know that yes, your child has symptoms of autism, just go and meet with the developmental pediatrician. They are the right person. They will check your child, they will assist, they will do assessment of your child, and they will then suggest you where you should go and what you should take the step, right? So I will suggest not to do Google search, not do anything yourself. Better take suggestion or advice of experts.
True, true. No, I completely agree. I mean, Google search had created more problems than ever in last decade or so. I agree with you. And I also agree that, on certain aspects or certain very critical, life changing aspects, Google search is not the right thing. True, true. So yeah, so like I was saying, so when did you guys found out about your son? Was it like around between 2.5, 3 years? And how did you find out? That is the question point.
Okay. After 2.5 years, we realized that our child is not interacting with the other people. He's doing unusual behavior like watching the ceiling fan all the time, playing with the tire of toys, right? Let's say if you just offer any toy to child, the child who is having symptoms of autism, most of the child they used to play with the wheel of the that toys, or any follow any unusual behavior or pattern, right? Like run in the straight line, keep the all thing at the same pattern. So following the pattern is the common symptom, right? They used to follow, right? And if you just give them any game, any song to just listen, they will listen only the same song again and again. And as I said, they will follow the same action or pattern again. So that actually uh, made us very tense that why he is doing these things. So we met with developmental pediatrician, and she just did the assessment, and she informed that okay, he is having autism, and these days it is spreading very fast. I mean, lots of cases she is handling daily basis. So yes, you people have to work very hard with your child. And a lot of therapies, when I say therapies at the starting, because most of the children they don't interact, so for them they required speech therapist, right? After that speech therapist, it's very necessary because these children are very energetic. So energetic means sometimes people call it hyperactive, right? So one is autism spectrum disorder and one is ADHD, right? So it's a attention deficit hyperactive disorder, right? So in this, one therapy also come in picture, that is occupational therapy. In occupational therapy, therapists used to calm down the child, because unless or until child is calm down, other therapy will not work. First of all, it's very important to settle down the child, and lots of other activities are part of occupational therapy, like fine motor skill, gross motor skill. Lot of other activities are, I mean, taken care in occupational therapy. After that, yes, if speech is done, occupational therapy is done. Next part, most of the parents they used to care, or they used to think about special education. And when I say special education, yes, because education should also be there with the children, right? If the child is, let's say, about 3 years, 4 years, 5 years, so normally 3 years is the age of nursery class. So all the therapists, all the educators, all the parents, they have their different opinion, because for these children there are different schools designed. One is special school, one is homeschooling, one is inclusive school. And when I say inclusive school, that will be combination of children with special need and children without special need also. So they used to mix all the children together, and they give exposure to these children, how you can interact with other children, how you can, they used to motivate them to write. So yes, special education is a kind of process or just a design method where they can motivate or they can encourage children to read, write, or just teach. And one more thing, when I realized, when I just enrolled my son in 4 years in one brand school, I will not tell the name here. Lots of brand school are there. When I say brand name means franchisee, lots of play schools and schools are here, right, these days. What they follow at the time of enrollment or admission, they will happily take your child. They will enroll your child very happily, and after few days they start complaining, your child is not like other child, he's not settling down, he's overactive, and sometime parent can hear unexpected word also, your child is mental, like this, you need mental doctor. I mean, why they are saying this? Because they don't know about all this term. They don't know what is special education. Even in their school they don't have counselor also. Forget about special educator and therapist. Most of the school they don't have counselor also, or psychologist. So even they don't know about these children, what is neurological disorder, what is autism, what is down syndromes. They don't know, they are not from that background, right? So for them, yes, they should take children. I mean, they should think twice before enrolling any children, whether they would be able to take care of that child or not. And one thing I strongly believe, no child is disabled. If the child is not understanding what the teacher is teaching, then there is problem in teacher. Trust me, that is not the problem of child. Because one method of teaching will not be applicable of all the students, right? I'm just giving you one more example. It's a traditional way of explaining old teachers. Let's say if in my class there are 30 students and 25 students are understanding what I am saying and 5 are not understanding. That's not my fault. It's a traditional way of giving excuses of teacher, but still I am saying it's your fault. Why 5 students are not understanding? You should change your strategy and you should change your pattern, because it's the old proverbs that if you continuously putting your efforts, definitely children will understand whatever you are trying to explain. And these days lots of implement has been happen in this education system. So yes, disability word doesn't match and doesn't fits with the students. In fact, I will say teachers are disabled. Most of the teachers, if they don't know how to teach students, let me tell you very frank, they are disabled because they don't know how to teach students. So first they should learn that, then they should accept these children, because it's not the fault of students, it's their fault that they don't know how to teach this student.
Wow. Wow, that's so true. And I'm saying this is because I'm one of those poor students, those low grade students, and I agree with you on many levels that it's not about the child, because a child, and especially who's like so young, how would they even know what things are, right? And I also understand what you're saying about the brand schools, is because the people who set up the schools and the brands and other things, maybe not every information is sent down to the people who are actually putting the students, I should not say recruiting them, that would be a wrong word, but yeah, taking the children in, right? So most of them, like you said, ha sir, aa jao types wala attitude, and yeah, at the end of the day the child suffers. That's the worst part
At the
of
time
it.
of, yes, as you said, at the time of admission, they see only check amount and that's it. They even don't assess the student. I mean, yes, it's their part of their job. I mean, if I'm talking about coordinator or principal, yeah, they have to take enrollment, right? And after taking enrollment, there the problem starts.
True, true. No, I understand that. I understand, and it's just the way the society is fabricated these days. But yeah, and I just have one comment I would like to display here. So Beena Roy Sharma says hello, sir, to you.
Hello, Bina.
Fantastic. So yeah, so viewers keep popping in and putting in the comments. So whenever the comment comes in at the right time, I'll share that with you, Shringi. So now let's fast forward and tell me, how did you thought of coming up with Asha Foundation?
Okay, so I was in Delhi and I was working in a multinational company. Then I moved to Pune and I joined here Infosys company, and I was working there very happily. But then, as I enrolled my son in a school, in a franchisee school, so-called brand school, so their principal actually told my wife that your child is not normal, you should meet with the mental doctor, right? And actually she was not aware about anything, so she used that word, your child is mental and you need mental doctor for that, right? So my wife came to home and she was continuously crying that, okay, that you can understand it's how parents can take that answer, right? If the teacher is saying your child is mental, even you have must have heard the story of Edison also, right? So it happens. How parents are involved and how they are very emotional about, it's not about us, it's about all the parents, right? So she was continuously crying for 1 day or 2 days. I realized, and then I moved to other school to inquire, and I realized at the time of admission they were saying that okay, everything is fine, we will take that. And after taking check, after doing all the other part, within a few days or week they started saying, okay, your child is not good. Then I realized, okay, there should be a school where it should not be special school, and it should not be school like the other school they are doing. It should be combination of a school where all the children could learn and grow. And when I say learn, means they have all the exposure what the other children are getting. Then I started the Asha International School under the Asha Educational Society, and I started with 11 students, right? Out of 11, 4 to 5 students were special need child. And within a year, we worked very hard. And I remember next year, people from 20 kilometer, 25 kilometer, they started coming to our school. We were just giving so great result to their children. And I thought these children, they deserve each and everything. So we started teaching them how to paint, how to color, how to learn guitar, how to learn drum. I hired a drummer, right? And a person who can play guitar. They were actually good in guitar and drum, but I realized they are not good in how to teach these children. Then I thought, okay, let me learn these skills, and then I will teach those children. Then I myself took the training of guitar and drum, and from the next year I started teaching them drum and guitar. So in our school, under one roof, we are providing therapy, we are providing special education, we are giving them personal attention, we are teaching them how to play drum. Guitar is, I must say, little bit difficult for these children, and not for these children. If you can understand, for 5 years 6 years old child, it is quite difficult, right? But drum, it's very easy, right, as compared to guitar. So we are teaching all these skills to our child. And moreover, one thing I will say all parents also, that it's not only about speaking or education. Because when I say most of the parents, they what they think that if my child starts speaking, then or every problem will be sorted out. But that's not the true. Let me give you one live example. These days, when I say IT crowd, people rarely talk with each other. They rarely interact. Even we don't know who is our neighbor. In most of the cases, we don't, I mean, disturb our neighbor. When I say disturb, we don't interact with the neighbor. What's going in society, we don't know. We are only, most of the IT crowd, they even rarely interact with each other. They are busy with their project. I can understand they have a lot of work to do. So speaking is really not important, because when I say speaking, one case is there, that is sensory disorder. And when I say sensory disorder, a person with hearing loss, let's say they can't hear, or they can't speak, or they can't communicate, but their life is very easier as compared to neuro disorder child. Their life is very easier. Why? They have technology, because their mind is very good, they can understand very thing. Only problem is that they cannot speak, but they can interact and they can communicate with each other very nice. They have WhatsApp these days, so they can message with each other. Even they have community group, and they can interact with the sign language. So their life is very easier. So you can see the difference. Speaking is not always important. And on the other hand, if you are a parent who think that okay, education is very important, Let me tell you, there are lots of people who are illiterate, but they are billionaire and millionaire. I don't know. I think you must be agree with me. They are contractor. They are doing lots of things, but they even don't know how to write their name, and their life is very easy. So both the thing, speaking and education, they both are really, I will not deny that these are not important, but yes, these are not so much as useful as understanding. When I say understanding, your children should have the good knowledge of environment and surrounding. So for that awareness, what we used to do, we 4 to 5 times we organize a outing in our school. And when I say outing, it's not about only picnic. We used to take our children to post office, bank, a nursery farm, hospitals, and we just teach them that this is our world. These all things you have to face in your daily life. This is therapy center, that they already know. How to interact with the shopkeeper, how to do transactions, what is the value of that. Is not a piece of paper, because if they don't know, for them that is only piece of paper, but we know what is the value of that paper. So we have to teach them what is the value of that paper. So all these things we can only teach them if we just take them to the environment. And as I said, awareness is very important. It's not for these children and their parents, but for society also. And luckily these days parents are much aware, and society is also getting aware about that. But still, lots of places are there where people are not aware. So yes, for these children, awareness, acceptance, and as I said, the knowledge of environment and surrounding, that is very much important.
Wow. Wow. Amazing. So many amazing things. I'm going to pick up each one of them. But before that, I've got lots of comments here and I want to share that. So I'll go from the top. So, sir is really helpful and inspiration from Beena. And Trupti mentioned, indeed, this is the time when you were actually talking about how your wife came back, and how every parent is how attached to their child, right? And how she was not. I mean, when she heard about the word mental, and that's where the comment came in. So I thought I'll share that. Ram C. Paul says, "Hello everyone." Hello Ram. Trupti says, splendid. This is when you were describing about the work that you're doing with the children, that you became yourself as a drummer. You take them out for many places like banks and hospitals and, teach them. And one more comment from Beena, doing a wonderful job. Respect to you. Fantastic. So yeah, absolutely mind blown with all your last statements because many things that you said, starting from again that when people use this word mental and it's so much used, irrespective. Now it's like irrespective of whether the person has a problem or it doesn't, the word mental just is thrown across. But when it is done by somebody in authoritative position, it hurts. It hurts, and I can just imagine that. Next was that I'm really applaud to you that you actually learned drumming and guitar to teach them. So that's really fantastic. You're doing a really good job. And more, like, you're absolutely right again on the fact that speaking and education in that way is not it doesn't link well, because the biggest creators on this planet even today are all dropouts, most of them. We know that. And all the so-called biggest degree holders are working for those dropouts as well. So there's a very different thought process that goes into every parent's mind, and I'm very glad that you have a different thought process, because now you have an education, right? So it's not just that you're imparting education in terms of books and read this, pass. right? So you're actually educating them to be a person who can sustain in the life, right? Rather than just being like, okay, ye padho, exam do, or fir job dhundo types. So that's really phenomenal. So tell me, before I jump on to my last question to you, tell me, so what's the next step for you? What are you thinking now forward?
To be very frank, from since last year, we had just got stuck because of this pandemic situation, and it's very, very, you can say, horrible situation for these parents. When I say horrible, not only school, proper school, even residential schools, they are getting closed these days, right? So parents who rarely meet with their children these days are living with their children. And when I say they are part of residential school, so they don't have such kind of bonding with their parent, you can understand that, because they meet once in a year or twice in a year with their parent, and these days they are living with their parent. To handle those children, it's quite difficult because most of the therapy centers are closed these days. So they are doing tantrums, I can understand, they are doing unusual behavior, right? So, and even government cannot take any decision to open that, because I have heard that most of the residential schools, government has converted those in corona center and all this, right? And yes, in fact, they cannot allow those schools to open, right, in this pandemic situation. So I'm also stuck, but yes, for the last year we are taking online sessions, and really it was miracle for me, because you won't believe, even these children who is having special need, they are sitting nice with full patience and they are interacting with the teacher. But hats off to all the parents, to their efforts, because they have proved that they are the first teacher of child. We all always listen such kind of quotes in only teachers day, but really in this pandemic situation, most of the parents, they have proved that yes, we are the first teacher of child. They are taking care of child very nice, and they are taking care of their activities, their education. So really hats off to all the parents, especially mothers, because yes, we cannot deny that fathers, especially, they have all the other responsibilities also, like financial aspects. So they are busy in their professional life. But yes, when I say mothers, yeah, they are taking care of their child. And about my personal planning, I had a plan, and still I have a plan of growing my school for the, because after a few years there will be requirement of vocational training. When I say vocational training, these children, they require vocational training, no matter whether, I mean, for what is the purpose of that training? To make them, to make them about to make them prepare about that future. Maybe they will get a job in a MNC or any company or not, they should have certain skills so that they could survive their life. Because when I say they should have such kind of skill, it could be anything. They could make envelope, they could make any, they could do designing, they could do packing. I'm just giving you example, and as I said, we cannot say about anything. I'm just saying all these things in common. If the child is very good, he or she is very good in academic, definitely will get work. But I'm saying this common. If the child is, let's say, 15 plus, 16 plus, he or she should be undergone through that vocational training. That is very much important. So yes, I am planning for that, and we will do that definitely, because we cannot leave all the students like this. Okay, child is, let's say, 14 years, 15 years, so it's not our responsibility now, everything finished and you just take care of your child. So we cannot do this, because as a parent, as an educator, I cannot say that. So it's my responsibility to take care of that child, and time to time encourage parent, time to time motivate parent how to take care of your child. Because it's not a one day work, 1 month or 1 year work. It's a procedure, it's a long way to go. I mean, parents have to really work very hard for that. And yes, it takes time, though. Yes, we all know that children will not get 100% result, but definitely one thing happen, they will get improved, right? And they will be independent, they will independently do their work. That is actually very much important for their life. So for that objective, definitely we will do something, and whatever we can do within our capacity. And parents are really doing very good, so definitely we will plan something in future.
Fantastic, fantastic. I completely understand that. Yeah, I mean, they need to have some vocational guidance later on, and it's good that you're just not going to leave them like stranded in a way, like generally how schools do, most of them, the standard ones, and or the brand ones, or and I completely applaud to, and I agree, and I applaud to all the parents. Uh, whether their child has a special need or not, but truly because the pandemic has put them into the spotlight, and take care of their children while taking care of all the household chores and the office chores and other things. So I agree. Me too. I have one comment here from Trupti. Remember the quote of Dalai Lama: everything you do has some effect, some impact. Sir, you're simply amazing in this. So wonderful.
Thank you so much.
That's lovely. All right, so we are almost at the tail end of this show, and I ask this one question to all my guests: is that Shringi, do you feel that stories impact? Do you feel that sharing stories can impact people?
Okay. Mr. Khanna, my name is Shringi.
Shringi, sorry,
Okay,
sorry,
okay.
Shringi.
It's all right, all right. So it's, I know it's tough. Okay. And about your question, Mr. Khanna, yes, I strongly believe that story impacts. If you are telling your story to anyone, and out of that audience, if one person feels that this story is relating to me, or I am the hero or actor or actress, or let's say person of that story, it means you are conveying your message very well. And that should be the, that is actually power of the story, because story motivates people or encourage people to take actions, and that is very much important. Because all the powers, as Swami Vivekananda had said, all the powers are within you. You have to only recognize that power. And for parents of special need children, really they are very strong, and they have all the power to face all the situation. So just recognize your power and take the action. And one thing I will say, push your child, prompt your child to do everything and anything, but do not pressurize your child. Set a target for you, but don't expect on or over expect from your child, because that will, by this way, you are just not doing justification with your child, especially in this pandemic situation, right? So yes, I'm repeating, just push your child, motivate your or encourage your child, be with your child, and also recognize the power or strength of your child, and go ahead in your life, and definitely everything will be easier with you and with your child.
Fantastic, fantastic. All right, so that brings us to a wonderful end of the episode number 44. And thank you very much for all your time and all the wisdom, and sharing what exactly special needs are, and how we can recognize them, and what should be done and what should be avoided. So thank you very much. And to all my lovely guests and viewers who are watching us live, and all the comments, thank you very much. And for those who are going to watch this show later on as a record, kindly connect with Shringi Dubey if you want to know more about what exactly he does, and want to connect. If you're in Pune, if you want to know, if you want to start off with something different, or if you have a child who needs special care, or if you know somebody who needs special care, just connect with him. All the details are present in all the three platforms. and I'm sure he would be glad to help you out. And if you want to come to my show and impact somebody the way he did it, and all my guests have been doing, please ping me and I'll work with you and figure out a do good time.
Thank you so much,
Until
Mr. Khanna.
then, yeah,
It's my pleasure to be a part of this live session, and thank you to all the viewers. And yes, as Mr. Khanna said, whenever you are stuck at your home or anywhere you feel guidance, you need help, just you can ping me also, and you can visit to my school's website also. And yes, I will be more than happy to help all of you. Thank you so much, Mr. Khanna, for inviting.
awesome. Now, thank you very much for those kind words. And all of you guys, please take care of yourself. If you do not have to go out for any reason, stay home. Make sure you keep your hands and your body clean, and stay away from, have a 1.5 meter distance if possible. Okay, and whenever possible, get your COVID shots as well.
Exactly.
All right. With then, thank you very much from Melbourne, and thank you very much from Pune. Have a wonderful rest of your day and enjoy your evening as well.
Thank you so much,
Bye.
everyone. Bye.